Today's episode is brought to you by Proud Wolves. It is Proud Wolves' mission to build stronger local communities by using global systems. Our main focus is the integration of children in the local community to boost their sense of purpose and belonging and reduce mental health issues and suicide rates. We want to make sure that children all over the world have free access to cultural activities and sport. Proud Wolves helps organizations to change their income models and stops them relying on membership fees for children. Find Proud Wolves on Google for more information. Now, get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week. Goeiedag, enchantée, and welcome to this week's episode of 824 Presents All-NBA Team of the Week. We're less than 10 games away from the end of the season. Let the debating about individual prizes begin. Who will win the MVP? Who's most improved? What 15 guys will fill the All-NBA teams? But we can't forget that there's still some basketball being played around the league. And some important basketball. The East is still wide open. All positions can still change from 1 to 10, and even the Knicks and Wizards are mathematically not eliminated yet. In the West, we're looking at a three-legged race for 9th and 10th spot between the Lakers, Pelicans and Spurs, all within 2 games of each other. For our team this week, we picked 5 high-performing players on 5 high-performing teams. Get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week. Before we move on, I'd like to talk to you about 824. 824 is created by Proud Wolves with the intention to provide children with an opportunity to learn and play basketball at their own pace and completely free. We have created different courses which are available on the website to improve their basketball skills. But our real mission is to help disadvantaged children by building and upgrading basketball courts around the world and supply them with basketball gear to play with. Come and find our website and grab a t-shirt to support the course. Now, let's get back to the show.
Pick one!
Our first pick of the week is Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are the best team in the league. They are the favorites to come out of the West, and, really, they should be everyone's favorite to win it all. They are the only team this season that have consistently performed on a high level. Even when Chris Paul hurt his right thumb just before the All-Star break, the Suns kept winning. Consensus around the league was that the Suns would drop some games and potentially lose some ground on their competition in the West. Since the All-Star game, their record is 12-4, and they are 9-1 in their last 10 games, and they have won their last 7 games. They have clinched the Western Conference with 8 games left to play. The Suns are the best team in the West, and by extension, the league. The key behind the Suns' success this season is more than ever Devin Booker. He has taken another step forward and is now playing like a true MVP contender on this potential championship-winning team. He will not be in the mix for the MVP because of the crazy season Jokic, Embiid and Giannis are playing, but he clearly has taken over the mantle from Chris Paul. Paul will still be crucial for the Suns in the playoffs and potentially future seasons, but Booker is now the guy on the team. This season, he's averaging 26 points, 5 rebounds and 5 assists a game, and in the 3 games he played this week, he averaged 36 points and 7 assists a game. If he can keep these scoring numbers up in the Suns' last 8 games, he might come close to challenging LeBron for the scoring title this season. Now that the Suns have clinched the number 1 spot, we can start looking at who might be their challenger. As it stands right now, it will most likely be a battle between the Clippers and the Pelicans. I'm sure the Suns would rather play the Pelicans, a team that has battled all year long, and will probably start the playoffs pretty tired, comparable to the Grizzlies last year. Because we're not 100% sure whether or not Paul George or Kawhi will play for the Clippers in the playoffs. If the Suns happen to see the Clippers in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised to see those 2 superstars on the floor, just to avenge last year's elimination. Either way, the Suns should be able to cruise through the Western Conference, relatively speaking. Their biggest challenge will wait in the NBA Finals, and my guess is that it will be a rematch of last year's Finals.
Pick two!
Our second pick of the week is Trey Young of the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks have been trash this season compared to last year. They're only just creeping into the top 10, and only because the Knicks have been even worse than them. All year I've been waiting to add Trey Young to our All-NBA Team of the Week, because even though the Hawks are not doing well, Trey has been amazing this season. This week I finally caved and added him to my team, even though the Hawks failed to put together 2 decent games of basketball. In fact, it was quite an embarrassing week for the Hawks basketball. They lost a close game against the Pelicans, barely made it against the Knicks, only because of another colossal collapse of the New Yorkers in the 4th quarter, their trademark this season, and were beaten to a pulp by the lowly Detroit Pistons. Luckily, they managed to regain some of their composure with an impressive win against the carryless Warriors. But, like I said, Trey has been playing a fantastic season so far. He's averaging 28 points, 9.5 assists, and nearly 4 rebounds a game. These are some of the best numbers in his career. Not quite like his career season in 2020, but close. But what's more impressive is that he is shooting more accurately than ever. He's more efficient from pretty much any spot on the floor, and that has allowed him to lead the league in total points made, and most total assists made this season. Only Jason Tatum comes close in points made, and maybe Chris Paul can challenge him in the assist department in this final stretch of games. Given Trey's size and his wingspan, it makes it all the more impressive he's such an offensive powerhouse. The main reason the Hawks are so bad this season is because of their defense. They're the 5th worst team in the league in defensive rating. They weren't great defensively last season, but at least they were league average. This season, they are just plain horrible. The 4 teams lower than them are all chasing a lottery pick. If you take into account that the Hawks are the team that allows the least amount of turnovers a game, it really shows that they can't stop anyone in half-court basketball. Considering they were Eastern Conference finalists last season, when half-court basketball dominates in the playoffs, it is unbelievable to see where the Hawks are now. It seems like they've taken 1 step forward last season and to take 3 back this year. I don't see the Hawks make it through the playing games, and the front office and the coaching staff will need to make some tough choices next season, because Trey is definitely not the problem in Atlanta.
Pick 3.
Our third pick of the week is Desmond Bane of the Memphis Grizzlies. Really, I could have picked any Grizzly player. It doesn't really matter because they're all playing so well. This week, a very interesting stat started to flow around about the Grizzlies, especially now Ja Morant is out again. The Grizzlies are 16-2 without their best player, Ja Morant. Yes, a lot of those games were against weaker teams, but if you're the second best team in the league, pretty much any team is a weaker team. There are very little excuses that can be used against Memphis this season. They're just having a truly amazing year. Ja will probably walk away with most improved at the end of the season, and Jaren Jackson Jr. should be in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year. He is playing incredibly. The way he defended Durant in their clash on Wednesday, that was a fantastic battle. But let's go back to Desmond Bane. Picked 30th in the 2020 draft, this guy can tell you exactly everyone that was picked before him, and he's on a mission to show all 29 franchises they made a huge mistake letting him drop down the board. He's averaging 18 points a game, and so far this season, he's guaranteed to make at least 3 threes a game on 7 shots. That's shooting at an incredible clip, making him the 3rd most efficient 3-point shooter in the league this season. Only Cam Johnson from the Suns and Luke Kennard from the Clippers shoot more efficiently, but they don't shoot the same volume as Bane. Of the 10 most efficient 3-point shooters in the league right now, only Lonzo Ball has attempted more threes a game than Bane. But that's only a small sample size, 35 games, in comparison to Bane's 70. He's nowhere near the total of Stephen Curry, who has made 285 threes so far this season, but with his 209 threes made, Bane sneaks into the top 10, and obviously, he needed to attempt a lot less threes to get to these numbers. Needless to say that Bane's shooting numbers are off the chart. It is just one aspect of this Grizzlies team that makes them so strong. Looking at the playoff standings right now, they'll be matching up with the winner of the playing games, which most likely will be the Timberwolves or the Nuggets. Neither team will be an easy first round for the Grizzlies. The Timberwolves have been able to beat them twice already this season, and the Nuggets could get their injured start backs. But this Grizzly team is not scared of anyone, and will take on the challenges one step at a time, with a Western Conference Finals matchup against Phoenix as their main goal. Or even more, who knows? An interesting little nugget for the Grizzlies too is that if the Lakers fall outside the top 10 in the lottery, the Grizzlies get the Lakers draft pick, which will give them 3 picks in the next draft because they have control of the Jazz's pick as well. Imagine the power they would have with 3 picks to add another talent to this already incredibly talented roster.
Pick 4.
Our 4th pick of the week is Miles Bridges of the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are going to play in the playing games, and they deserve it. In their last 10 games, they are 7-3 with wins against Atlanta, Dallas, and Utah. Not the easiest of games to win, against teams that are still trying to secure their own positions on the ladder, and a tough loss against the Knicks on Wednesday is the only stain on a very impressive stretch of games. And they've done it all without their main guy, Gordon Hayward, who's been out with an ankle injury since early February. Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, and Kelly Oubre have all shown flashes of greatness this season, but the one guy who is performing on a high level each and every game is Miles Bridges. Bridges is averaging 20.7 rebounds and almost 4 assists a game, and he's up in pretty much every possible statistic in comparison to his first 3 seasons in the league. If Ja Morant needs some competition in the most improved category, Bridges is definitely a name to be thrown around. especially this week in the game against the Jazz. He was incredibly important for the Hornets, banking 26 points and 11 rebounds. Together with LaMelo, this duo could grow into one of the most lethal offensive duos in the league. They're both already in the top 25 of players with most points made in the NBA this season, and as they get more efficient as they get older, these guys will be a menace around the league. It seems unlikely that they'll climb the ladder before the end of the regular season, even though they're only a game and a half behind the Nets. That means they're now in a battle with the Hawks for who will have home court advantage in that all-important do-or-die 9 versus 10 matchup. I'm not sure if it matters, because the Hawks can be such a difficult team to beat on the night. But then again, so are the Hornets. It will be a difficult game for both teams, with a game against the Nets, the Raptors, the Cavs, or even the Bulls as a reward for the winner. But I believe that for the Hornets, this season, anything that happens is just a bonus, and next year is when they'll start putting some expectations in place.
Pick 5.
Our fifth pick of the week is Robert Williams III of the Boston Celtics. Nobody should disagree if I say that the Celtics are the best team in the East right now. They have only lost 6 of their last 40 games. That puts them at a similar winning percentage as the Suns. If it wasn't for their rough start to the season, the Celtics would sit comfortably at the top of the Eastern Conference standings. We've already touched on Jason Tatum's brilliance in 2022 and his potential MVP bid if the C's can finish at the top of the ladder in previous podcasts. Today we're going to focus on the pieces around JT, and in particular, Time Lord. Williams got his nickname in his first season by showing up late for pretty much everything. Danny Ainge gave him the nickname, and it stuck, but Time Lord has come a long way from that first season. Not even cracking 10 minutes a game, averaging 2.5 points and 2.5 rebounds a game. Now, 4 years later, he started every game he played in. He's averaging about 30 minutes a game and contributes to almost a double-double to every game. He clicks with the other big guy on the floor, Al Horford, and is finally growing into the player he was predicted to be at the draft. He's a defensive powerhouse, a menace under the boards, grabbing rebounds and blocking shots. Right now, this Celtics team is the number 1 candidate to take out the Eastern Conference. With 8 games left to play, they're only a game behind number 1 seed Miami. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games and have won 5 games in a row. With games against the Wolves, Raptors, Miami Pacers, Wizards, Bulls, Bucks and Grizzlies, this team can't cruise to the finish line. But they're heading into the playoffs in good shape, and if they can win most of these games, they'll be scorching hot. And if the standings stay the same as they are now, it looks like they could be avoiding teams like the Bucks and Philly until the conference finals. The road is open for the Celtics, and the time is right. This was our All-NBA Team of the Week. Please share the podcast and give us 5 stars. If you have any questions, contact us on a24office@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week. Ballers out.